talking. Good evening and welcome to the regular City Council meeting of December 4th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor Hartke.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lando.
Present.
Councilmember Encinas.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Present.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Aquí.
Councilmember Poston.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Bilingual. Our invocation tonight will be led by Pastor Victor Hardy of the Congregational Church of the Valley, and our Pledge of Allegiance led by our member of Troop 280. Pastor.
Let us pray. Lord, I will lift mine eyes to the hills, knowing my strength is coming from you. The strength you give me in the times of low. You are the source of my strength, and you are the strength of my life. I give my hands in total praise to you. Amen. 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 In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Troop 280.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience may be seated. Maybe a mayor seat.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Troop 80 member. Our next on our agenda, we have service recognitions, and if Councilmember Poston can please join me up front. City Manager, would you proceed with our employee service recognitions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We do have 3 employee service recognitions this evening. And for the first, I'd like to ask our Assistant Chief of Police, Melissa DeAnda, to come forward and make the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call Officer TJ Amperon forward for his 10 years of service. All right, Officer TJ Amperon has been a dedicated employee of the Chandler Police Department for the past 10 years. During this time, he has served in patrol as a bike officer, a recruit training officer, honor guard, crisis negotiator, and he is one of our impaired driving experts. TJ is currently assigned to patrol and he serves as his patrol team's officer in charge. This position requires him to develop internal communication skills, decision-making abilities, and lead in the absence of his sergeant. TJ has developed a reputation as being a hardworking, dependable teammate, and he's earned the respect of his supervisors and peer alike. TJ is currently working towards promoting to sergeant, and I have no doubt that he will absolutely attain this goal. Congratulations, TJ, on your 10 years of dedicated service to the city of Chandler, and I'm honored to work alongside you. Congratulations.
Mayor and Council, for our next service recognition, I'd like to ask Mike Hollingsworth, a Facilities and Fleet Manager, to come forward.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to call Joe Walsh to come forward to be recognized for his 10 years of service with the city of Chandler. Joe Walsh has been a car guy his whole life and started working on vehicles at a Ford dealership. He started a new journey at the city of Chandler in late 2013. Since becoming part of Team Chandler, he has enjoyed taking on any new challenges and absorbing any training available, such as air brake school, advanced hydraulics, several specific manufacturer courses, and street sweeper school. He received a Master ASE certification in 2015, no easy feat. Joe enjoys snowboarding, fishing, hunting, and camping with his family. Joe loves being a grandfather to his beautiful granddaughter. He is always supportive of his coworkers and has a unique type of vehicle knowledge obtained by working directly for the manufacturer. He enjoys working with his team and feels it is the most well-rounded group he has ever worked with. Congratulations. And Joe is also joined by his wife, Tina, and his youngest son. Really?
Mayor and Council, for our final service recognition, I'd like to ask Sandeep Dalokia, our Chief Information Officer, to come forward.
Mayor, Council, respected city management. At this time, I'd like to invite Mike Rose to navigate his way on up to receive his 15-year service anniversary award recognition. I'm going to try something a little bit different tonight to celebrate Mike's service. In Chandler City Halls, where forms abound, Mike Rose, a system guru, was proudly found. 15 years strong with a tech-savvy smile, he's navigated the entire city, GIS style. But if you see something that doesn't look so pretty, no need to worry. He also gave us Lucidity. Twins Allison and Madison, a dynamic pair, in his coder's den, they'd often stare. Dad and his systems, they'd often plead, put away your computer and come play with me and me. Chip and Dale, twin canine code crackers, paw prints on keyboards, mischievous attackers. Mike's loyal companions through bugs and glitches, tech's best friend, will have you laughing in stitches. So here's to Mike, a man of great skill, who conquered the digital and leads with goodwill. 15 years in Chandler, a techie sage, with twins, teens, and dogs. Oh wait, we can't forget his wife, his lovely wife, Rachel, and the city's digital sage.
We just raised the bar for the director. poetry contest here.
Mayor and council, that concludes our employee service recognitions this evening.
And we've got several recognitions in our community. First is recognition for our CEASE designation. So Stacy Sutherland, Arizona Anti-Trafficking Network, and team, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Meza, and I'm the Board President of the Arizona Anti-Trafficking Network. We are here today to announce that the City of Chandler has fulfilled the requirements to become a CEASE designated city. Thank you to Mayor Hartke, City Manager Wright, and City Council for inviting us here tonight to share a few words about this important accomplishment. CEASE, which stands for Cities Empowered Against Sexual Exploitation, is a program of the Arizona Anti-Trafficking Network, tasked with engaging local governments to ensure they are best equipped in combating sex trafficking crimes. Our goal at CEASE is to build a network of communities across Arizona who are all committed to ending sexual exploitation. Regardless of where you call home, these types of crimes are occurring, and their ripple effects on victims, family members, and the community at large cannot be understated. While this is a grim reality, there are interventions deployable at the local level that can aid in curtailing these types of crimes. CEASE aims to equip cities and towns with these tools, starting with training for municipal staff and leveraging the education into action. CEASE offers a variety of sex trafficking training and resources for employees at all levels to aid in identifying, reporting, and ultimately preventing these types of crimes, with a see something, say something approach. To attain the distinction of being a CEASE designated city, municipal governments must fulfill the requirements that 75% of their staff become trained on the CEASE curriculum, commit to an annual retraining, and integrate the training into new hire onboarding. In August, the City of Chandler made this commitment. We are pleased to report that the city took this challenge very seriously, completing their training requirements for designation in record time, exceeded by the goal by training over 80% of their employees. Since this accomplishment, your city has continued to go above and beyond in the issue. We know that this accomplishment would not be possible without the leadership of Mayor Hartke, City Manager Wright, and all of City Council. And our sincerest congratulations to your city for making this a priority. We would also like to express our gratitude to Tad Willie, the Assistant City Manager for Chandler, who has been our partner throughout the implementation process and an advocate for the importance of the program, as well as the Human Trafficking Unit and the entire Chandler Police Department. In closing, it is my honor and privilege to present this plaque to your city on behalf of the Arizona Trafficking Network for achieving the CEASE designation. We applaud your commitment to ending sex trafficking in the state of Arizona. And may this plaque also serve as a reminder of the victims in this community that we aim to assist, and that not just one person, department, or city can tackle this in isolation. It will take all of us, our best efforts, to realize the vision of an Arizona where no one is bought, sold, or exploited. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Why don't you guys stand in the middle? And I do want to thank council. This item first came to us at the sex trafficking awareness event at Gamage, and city manager was made known shortly after that, and to put this into effect with such high regard is, I want to thank you. I want to thank council and our community. All right, let's get you guys in there.
Thank you, boss. Appreciate it.
Our next recognition has to do with Just Serve Award. So at the recent National League of Cities, Vice Mayor Orlando and Councilmember Harris attended there, and at that particular point, we received a couple of awards. So if we could have Jane Anderson from For Our City Chandler, Leah Powell, and members of the Neighborhood Services Department, and certainly Robin as well.
Do I come here to speak? Right here.
Go ahead.
Speak first. Okay. All right. Robin Finlands and I are here to present the City of Chandler with this banner, signifying that Chandler was selected as one of 6 cities in the United States to be named as a global Just Serve city. Vice Mayor, yes. Vice Mayor Orlando officially accepted this recognition at an event at last month's National League of Cities, but we wanted to make sure that everyone in the city of Chandler was aware of this. Just Serve is a free service that seeks to connect those who want to serve with people who need help. Since Just Serve's introduction to Chandler in 2014, there's been over 1,000 posts made just by nonprofits in Chandler. Currently on Just Serve, there's about 80 projects just in Chandler. It provides an easy way for schools, families, and businesses to serve within the city limits. And I have to give a shout out to Robin. She has been spearheading Just Serve since the introduction on a completely volunteer basis for 9 years. So Robin is amazing. We believe that volunteerism is a hallmark of a great city. As such, the Just Serve organization will annually designate a handful of global Just Serve cities. These cities will be chosen based on the utilization of the Just Serve platform and for the spirit of volunteerism that exists within the city. Community events such as For Our City Day and For Our City Chandler's Operation Back to School demonstrate the deep involvement of citizens in their community. The fact that Chandler was selected as one of the first cities in the nation to receive this award highlights just how unique and service-oriented the city is. Congratulations on your designation. Once again, Chandler is leading the way, not only in the state, but within the United States. And what better designation to receive than that our citizens serve one another. So thank you.
Thank you, Just Sir. I would say we could leave this here, but pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Our last recognition also was awarded to us at NLC Digital Cities Award. If Kirsten Nold, our information technology staffer, can come forth. Kirsten. Kirsten takes this seriously. So last year at NLC, she flew out for one day and to receive this award, and she did the same thing. And you really embody just that spirit of pride for our city and making sure that what we do is always amazing. Would you like to say some things?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Without your support and continued support, this wouldn't be possible. But this is not just an information technology award. This award represents all of the technology that goes on at the city. It is really an honor to be able to represent my colleagues here at the City of Chandler and be at the event. I want to thank O.D. Harris, Councilmember Harris, for joining me there. But what's really great about this award is it really shows the human-centric focus we have on technology, how we're driving citizen engagement to make sure that we have the voice of everyone through technology here at the city, as well as working on staff productivity to drive efficiencies and make sure that we're spending citizens' dollars responsibly and financially. And I want to thank Sandeep and the IT leadership team for all of their support as we write this huge application every year. And hopefully next year we will be in the top 3.
Vice Mayor, where is she flying to next year? Tampa.
Maybe more than one day.
That concludes our recognitions and public appearances. And that or to Tad. Tad needs things on his wall. All right, council, next on our agenda, our regular city council meeting is we have our consent agenda. There are 3 items. We've seen these before. And council, what is your item action here?
Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
I move to approve the consent agenda December 4th, 2023, regular meetings, items 1 through 3.
I second,
There's a
Mayor.
motion
Councilmember
and a
Ellis.
second by
Councilmember Ellis.
Councilmember Ellis. No comments. Council, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, council. That concludes our regular city council meeting. Welcome to our study session of December 4th, 2023. Council, we've had a number of items that were called in here tonight, and we'll just go through these. First one is item number 3 that was called in by myself and Councilmember Poston. Has to do with the Tumbleweed Rec Center expansion. So actually items number 3, 4, and 5. And Director John Sefton, tell us about that.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's an honor to bring this forward to you. Talk briefly. I believe my little picture here will help show the layout that we have. But the Tumbleweed, this action item for you this week is the approval of the construction contract for the Tumbleweed Recreation Center with Chase Building Team, as well as a service agreement with CoLab, who will be managing the public art component. A little bit of history. Originally, the TRC, is it upside down? I had a feeling it would happen that way.
Oh, no.
Is that better? So originally, our famed Tumbleweed Recreation Center was built in 2008. It is a 62,000 square foot recreational facility full of joy and fun every single day. The project is intentionally named the Multi-Generational Facility Expansion. It will be adding 11,000 square feet of multifunctional, multi-purpose, what I'm going to call multi-awesomeness space. The expansion will include 3 multi-purpose rooms, one of which is an events hall, 2 patios with shade structures, the fitness room, game room, restrooms, lobby, and a reception area, as well as updating the landscape. A few interesting stats about TRC this past year: nearly 200,000 users have passed through the doors, up 7% year over year. Of our memberships, 40% are already active adults. They're going to continue to be active adults because they're coming to TRC. 36% of our memberships are 18 to 54. We're over 2,700 members. And while classes, programs, and participation is predominantly the youth, ages 6 to 15. We've had over encompassing 4,600 participants, or 4,600 programs that folks have participated in. Now, you guys get notes from the community all the time. And every now and then, I'll get a note from folks. And this is our Tumbleweed survey. And just today, I kid you not, I got this in my inbox, and I printed it off, and have to share it. And of course, I printed it really tiny. But I'll do my best to read this, if I can entertain you for just a moment. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Time to say thank you. As a member, and for several years, I find the TRC is better than most private fitness centers. At 80 plus, I try to stay active and possibly never really be fit, the TRC offers something for all ages and stages of activities. TRC is accessible to all and affordable for most, a public good I hope Chandler is able to support. And then at the bottom, he wrote, great mission statement, good work. Mr. J. I didn't get his permission to read this, so we'll keep him anonymous. But in your packets, we've got a lot of information in there, of course, some photos as well, and the public can follow along at chandleraz.gov, TRC, Tango Romeo Charlie, and that will take you right to the Tumbleweed Recreation Area. Also, as Mayor, you mentioned, this is a kind of package of items related to the construction project. Also includes professional services with our architect, as well as a construction management services agreement as well. And with that, I'll do my best to respond to any questions that you may have.
So I've got two. And again, I know it's in the packet, but tell us the timeline and then tell us what are the thoughts for the existing senior center and community center? What are our thoughts for those? So timeline of the TRC and what are the current thoughts on the other?
Great question, Mayor. Timeline for this construction project, as we get into the new year, we'll start to see dirt moved as early as February. It will take just about a year, maybe a little bit more. It's construction. I'll not give you a date. As we get closer, we'll figure that out, but late spring of 25 for the new facility. As far as the talks about the community center, we're programming. There's all kinds of things going on at the community center and the senior center. As long as that space is available, we're going to put people in it, having fun and staying well and connecting with each other. So until something changes significantly, we are serving citizens there at the community center, which, as you know, I love dearly.
Very good. Councilmember Poston.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you answered one of my questions regarding the senior center, but one thing that I really liked about this project is that multi-generational, I mean, obviously it's a multi-generational, but that this is in response to the way our community is changing, the demographics are changing, and the way that maybe the older community is changing what they want. One, could you speak to that a little bit? And then can you also speak or maybe assure that we'll have programming that's integrated? We're not keeping maybe our older residents separated from our younger ones. I really like the idea that they'll be integrated. That is so good for the health of both communities, I think. So if you can tell us a little bit about the programming of that. So that's two questions too, I guess.
Mayor, Councilmember Poston, thank you so much. It is, and it's been a long time changing. Our active adults, or what used to be seniors, right? I mean, it's one of those things. Life is longer for us, and we expect more out of life. We're a very diverse community. We're a very active community. In a lot of ways, a recreation is that life benefit, whether it's at a local park around the corner from your house or at our mega centers like Tumbleweed Recreation Center. The flexible space that we have here gives us that opportunity to do just as what you mentioned there, be able to build programs, whether that it be for a specific age group or an integrated age group. As I was running through the stats that I got just this week on the makeup of Tumbleweed Rec Center, it already is a multi-generational center. And when I look at some of the popular sports, you guys have all heard about the pickleball craze, right? That's not an age-defined facility any longer. Schools are converting locations for pickleball, and the kids are learning it in PE. So I have a feeling this is going to be a trend that's going to stick around for a little while. But the flexible space, there is so much more that goes on to a rec center. You go into the senior center at any time now, you can find quilters, you can find folks on the computer, you can find folks playing cards. Those are very, very important social connections for them. And in some cases, we all know that the older generation that can't stand children. We know they exist. Unfortunately, those are things that we have to deal with and make programs happen and keep them safe and have different areas. One of the design features of this expansion is that we'll have a separate entrance for when we are programming for the older active adults, if necessary. So we're integrating some of that feel, leveraging the experience that our architects have from across the country. We're not the first to do this type of expansion, but really having that multifaceted, multifunctional, programmatic space gives the rec team over there the opportunity to learn from the community and provide those unique opportunities for them. Just last Friday, we had a dinner, Christmas dinner over at the community center. Too big for this senior center, right? So just having that extra square footage is something that gives the staff the opportunity to create something special.
And this was in response to what our residents were telling us they wanted, correct?
Correct. I wasn't here, but from the 2017, 2018 timeframe, a lot of work was put into a needs assessment from feedback from the participants, as well as some survey work that was done. So hearing from folks and what we want and what we need as a community, this is definitely in response to that.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, John, great job. Couple things. The thing we left out on this too is people with disabilities. I have seen more over the years. I've been a member for a long time. Over the years, you're adding more and more equipment for people with disabilities, and I'm seeing more and more individuals actually using our flex system to get there.
Yep.
So that's another entity we shouldn't forget and continue pushing forward on that. The other thing is, I know the original concept came with a gymnasium. You had it up there, the second part. What are your thoughts on time framing on the second part of this?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, we have the gymnasium expansion, also very much a very popular element within the facility. We have that in the out years of the CIP program that was adopted this year. So it's well on the radar. And as we move through the next iteration of funding, we will look to see how flexible we can be with that, but it's definitely a need.
And I believe the reason why that fell off because the expense just got too large.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John.
Seeing no other questions, thank you.
Very welcome.
Next item called in was item number 18, Councilmember Encinas. Agreement with Maricopa County for heat relief, and we have Ryan Balch coming up for a presentation. Or did you wanted a briefing or just a question? Great.
Did I get it? All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Councilman Encinas. Thanks for bringing this out for a presentation. So this last year, well, not having very much luck tonight. There we go. Okay. So over the years, the city of Chandler has been very involved in having heat relief services, particularly for people who are experiencing homelessness. Also, though, for people who are lower income and perhaps cannot afford to turn up their AC in the summer and want to go to a public space or even a private space where they can get some cooling during the day. So we've done that in a number of ways over the year, from participating in the Maricopa Association of Governments heat relief efforts, and it's been growing over the years. So this last year, Maricopa County, out of their Department of Human Services, made some funding available to 3 areas in the valley. They wanted to do a central project, a west project, and an east project. And they asked that cities partner together to vie for those funds. And their goal was to have more comprehensive heat relief services across the valley. So we, the city of Chandler, partnered with the city of Mesa and went in for a proposal to standardize services across our geographic regions and to work together to have a coordinated effort and to realize some cost effectiveness as well. So we did that. We were successful, and we received funding from the county. And Chandler was the primary recipient, and we helped to facilitate the competitive process for services both in Chandler and Mesa, and we also oversaw the entire grant for the 2 cities. We did this because we had a little bit more experience in this area than the city of Mesa, and we were very successful in working together to teach Mesa and to have sort of a more standardized approach across the East Valley. So in total this year, we spent just over $400,000. It's $406,000. See if I can make this work. Okay, so the services that we provided both in Chandler and in Mesa We each had 1 day respite center, so that was a place where people could come, they could cool off all day long, they could get lunch, they could sleep. The City of Chandler navigators visited our center, and in Mesa, their contractors visited their center, so they could also have access to other services that might help them end their homelessness. They also were able to get shower and laundry services, and there were mobile heat relief services for those days that were, what did we call them? What's the word for that? The excessive heat days, when the county would issue an excessive heat warning, we would have mobile services that would go out and perhaps find people that weren't able to come in and make sure that they were also being served. There were also 10 cooling stations around Chandler and Mesa. So that's where somebody could just pop in, get a bottle of water, cool off for a little while, but not somewhere where you could stay all day like the day respite centers. So each city had all of those services. What we've highlighted here for you is what we delivered here in the city of Chandler. So we ran our services from June through September. And all in all, we served 567 unduplicated persons through the summer. Now, those people likely utilize services over and over each day, but unduplicated persons was 567. We had just over 8,600 hours of the day respite center serving. It was in the city of Chandler, it was 5 days a week, and then on Saturdays and Sundays when we had excessive heat warnings. You can see we distributed over 10,000 bottles of water, over 13,500 meals or snacks, 600 showers were provided, and then over 200 laundry services. The same thing happened in Mesa. So in total, over 1,800 unduplicated persons were served this summer through this contract. In terms of next steps, this amendment that you see before you, the purpose of it is to just extend the amendment. The Maricopa County Department of Public Health has brought together a group of individuals, a group of cities and other entities that is now participating in a regional heat relief collaborative, and we are looking very much more seriously at what needs to happen for the future. So it is now a year-long planning effort. So knowing that, the county wanted to just extend this contract, and then we will be coming back to you as those plans develop to put together a scope of work and a budget for next year. We do plan, now that we've standardized services across the East Valley, we do plan on going independently. Mesa will have their own contract. We will have our own contract. Potentially some other East Valley cities can get in on that action too with Maricopa County. So that's the purpose of this amendment. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Councilmember Encinas.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ryan, for that presentation. I really wanted to highlight this collaboration between Mesa and Chandler and our efforts put together for this grant. Real quick question, the 406,000 that was used, was that just Chandler or was that between both cities?
That was between both cities. We had up to $600,000 to spend this year. Because the county got off to a little bit of a late start, we would like to start in May, and we will do that next year. This year, we didn't get to start till June because they kind of pushed the money out a little bit later, but that's part of the reason for this amendment too, is so that we can get an earlier start next year.
Great. And then as far bringing up next year, do you guys have any additional services you guys plan on bringing in, or anything a little bit more specific? I know we had a tough summer this year with excessive heat days. I think there was like 15 plus or 20 plus days where it was really, really hot. And I live right here in downtown Chandler and stuff, and I drive up and down these roads and stuff, and I see this is where we have most of our pedestrian people walking up and down these streets on those days.
Yeah. Through the mayor and Councilman Encinas, one of the things we would like to see for next summer that we were not able to procure this last summer was 7-day-a-week service, regardless of the heat, because it was excessive most of the summer. We'd also like to see a location outside of downtown, so something downtown, but there are other areas of need in the city, so that's something we'd like to see as well.
Okay, and do you guys collaborate with nonprofits or other organizations here, or is it all services that are happening right here in our neighborhood resources?
Yes, so we, through the mayor, councilman, we absolutely collaborate with a lot of agencies. So this contract is just a piece of what's happening. There are many wonderful nonprofits in our community who are also serving as a space that people can come in and get cool, that they are providing water, they are providing meals. We absolutely support those agencies. We bring them water all season. If they need, we call them like heat relief bags, so toiletries, sunscreen, hats, things like that. We will also provide them with those. So we do have many collaborations, but we would like to see some additional agencies um, come to the forefront in terms of being able to really serve during those daytime hours.
Okay, and I know this is aimed towards heat relief, but are any of these funds or these grant funds being able to use like during this December time as it's cold in our winter time?
Through the mayor, councilman, these specific funds, not so far. We haven't seen that so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for the information. I look forward to you guys' efforts this coming summer.
Welcome. Thank you.
Councilmember Encinas. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Ms. Ryan, for this presentation. This is an amazing thing, and we've been looking to do this almost years ago, and now we are able to do it. So I'm so grateful that you guys said yes. A couple of questions that I have. I know that you said we interface with about 567 people that were inside of the 1 day relief where they were able to spend time, and our navigators was able to go there and sit down with them and look into what their needs were. How many through those people that we interface with were we able to remove from homelessness? Do you know?
Through the mayor, councilwoman, that's an excellent question. I haven't analyzed to see. We work with the Salvation Army every day. We absolutely go down there every day, our navigators, and work with folks. So I haven't analyzed of the folks that utilized the day respite center, how many of those have we moved? But that's certainly data I can pull and get back to you.
Yeah, appreciate that because that will really tell us that we are killing two birds with one
Yes.
stone in this process. My second question is on the line of what our Councilmember Encinas was asking regarding the funds. I know that you said we're going to go year round right now, preparing ahead of time. Those funds are allowing some of our staff and yourselves to sit down to be able to be part of those planning sessions for the heat relief coming into the summertime.
Yes, so through the mayor, Councilwoman Ellis, thank you for stating in that way. Let me clarify. So we're working together year round. They
Mhm.
haven't made the funds available for year round. So the funds are still for the summer season at this point.
Okay.
But we are now, I want to say the minute heat relief services shut down, we were already starting to meet with this much larger group to
Mhm.
talk about what needs to happen. So I suspect we'll see a much more robust set of services in the future, and hopefully they will start to go longer and longer because it really starts to get hot before May, and the heat lasts, after September, generally through October.
So what you're trying to explain is that at this time you guys are just volunteering,
Yes.
putting all this program together, so nobody's being paid to be at the table making all those plans along the way.
Through the mayor, councilman, yes, but it is part of our duty in the work that we do.
Okay,
These are the
okay.
kinds of efforts that we engage
Yeah,
in.
just want to make sure that we know that the city is also doing its part
Oh, absolutely.
by putting some of our employees and yourself at the table to be able to see. I am on MAG, and that's one of the things that the last time you came to do a presentation for us, we were able to tell them what Chandler's doing in advance and how advanced we are. I mean, you testified, at the place, and everybody was able to see, and I'm sure that you got some call back. So many people were very um, I will say that they were so interested in understanding where you get all your information from and how you were proceeding to remove so many people out of homelessness in such a little time and of interfacing with them. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Appreciate your team that is here, and we'll continue to work together to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Encinas, you had another question.
One last question that came into my mind real quick, Ryan. I don't have the specific limitations or restrictions of these grant funds, but is there any way to do any collaborations with like our schools, like for students, like leaving, walking home afterward, providing any heat relief to our students?
Through the mayor, councilman Encinas, that's an excellent question. The way they wrote the grant this year, it was people experiencing homelessness.
Okay.
But since we are working year round now, we can bring those needs out. And it was ARPA funds that were used this year. I think the county has plans to expand what fund sources they would use in the future. So as long as we're following federal requirements, which certainly ARPA can serve that population. We just need to see if they would be willing to expand beyond those experiencing homelessness.
Okay, just
I'll
looking for those
certainly bring that up.
considerations. Okay, great, thank you.
I love that idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item brought forth, item number 19, agreements with our school resource officers. We had questions from Vice Mayor Orlando and Councilmember Poston. Chief Deandra.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Excuse me. This current resolution authorizes the presence of our school resource officers within our public schools within the city of Chandler. And we currently serve 3 school districts. We serve the Chandler Unified School District, which there are 9 schools, Kyrene School District, which there are 2, and then the Mesa Unified School District, and there is 1 school. So we have a total of 12 school resource officers throughout the city of Chandler. They serve within 4 of the high schools within the city, and then also 8 of the middle schools. And our school resource officers really have a significant role on campus. They are meant to be there to foster positive relationships with youth within our community. They develop relationships with students, staff, and parents. They provide education, whether that be about social media, bullying, drug awareness, etc. And they're also there for physical safety of the students and staff within campus, and they're also acting as a mentor. We know that an officer's presence on campus provides a lot of relief not only to students, staff, but also parents. And so late last year, we also implemented that if an officer was not able to be on campus, we would have an officer, what we call absent employee relief, that would fill that position. So we would deploy if an officer is out sick or there's a pre-planned vacation, we have another officer that is able to fill their role on campus because we understand the importance of their presence. So this IGA is good for 3 years, and it just allows us to continue to provide the services that we currently are to those 3 school districts. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes, Mayor.
Chief Deandra. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Assistant Chief Deandra. My question is more in general about the 3 civilian, I guess, SRO officers, for lack of a better term, we're calling them, that'll be working with the elementary schools. How is that progressing? And that's not a part of this, obviously.
It is not a part of this, but yes, Councilmember Orlando, it is progressing well. And last year we received one-time funds around July to proceed forward with that. We have began partnering with the Chandler Unified School District to create a program to have anywhere from 2 to 3 what we're calling school education and engagement specialists in place, where they would work up to 19 hours a week, but not more than 40 hours total between the 2 to 3 of them. And they will be providing some type of educational law enforcement material to 6th grade students. We have already started interviews. We have identified 2 potential applicants that are in our background process. We are still working with the Chandler Unified School District to create a plan and a program, but we look to have them in place around mid-March to mid to end of March this year.
Excellent. So for the next coming semester.
Correct.
Okay, great. And they said how long they'll be there for? 19?
It would be up to 19 hours a week.
Each person, or?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
But no more than a total of 40 hours between the 2 or 3 that we end up hiring.
Okay, and so keep us posted on that program, because these are former police officers as well.
Yes, that would be a requirement that they would be a former law enforcement officer.
Right, which I think is a good, hopefully I know this is a innovative program.
It is.
We're looking forward to this, and I think it's, every time I talk to school officials or other city council members from other cities, they're excited to see how this thing works out, because it definitely could be a gap filler for us over the short and the long-term scenario. So
Absolutely. I think that a lot of other agencies are looking to see how we pilot this program and to see how successful it is. So anytime we can have an officer on campus providing education and a physical presence, I think that it's going to do amazing things.
all right, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to former Councilmember Terry Rowe. I know this was something near and dear on his heart for probably the 8 years that he was on council. So I'm really pleased to see that this is coming into fruition. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
Councilmember Poston.
Right. Thank you, Mayor. It's all of these officers, this covers all of the high schools and all the middle schools in our city limits. Is that correct?
It does. We have 8 middle schools within the city and 4 high schools that we cover.
That's fantastic. And then across the school districts then?
Yes, all of
Okay.
our public schools, all of
Excellent.
the three districts that I had mentioned before, we cover all of them throughout there.
That's fantastic. And then you answered my question about that if someone is out sick or on vacation, we'll still get that coverage. And then the one other final question that I had is, these positions, are they all filled or are they positions? Do we actually have officers in place today?
Yes, Councilmember Poston, we do have officers in place today. Every school is filled. The 8 junior highs or middle schools and the 4 high schools are completely filled. And we also looked at making sure that we are corresponding our officers' training or vacation times when the kids are out of school so that we are lessening the amount of vacancies or time away from the schools that they're having.
Okay, thank you. No, I appreciate this. I think it's a fantastic program and really important, and thank you for your presentation. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Odie Harris.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Chief. Just kind of wanted to highlight that the city of Chandler is paying 50%, and then CUSD is paying 50%. Is that basically?
Yeah, so Councilmember Harris, the way that the grant works is the state allots a specific amount of money per each school for grant funded. So if an officer, I don't want to make up numbers, but let's say that there is a gap between that needs to be filled for an officer being on campus after the state funding, then that amount would be split between the Chandler Police Department and the school, and they would cover that cost equally.
So typically, do you see the state covering most of it? And
Yes, yes,
okay, got it.
absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next item fourth is item number 21, Vice Mayor Orlando.
Yeah, Mayor, I had a couple of conversations with the city attorney today and city manager. And this may go back to some legacy issues. So the key I wanted to express to city staff here is eminent domain. That is probably one of the most powerful things we could do when it comes to a property owner. And the way this resolution is written today, it says authorizing eminent domain proceedings. I've talked about this before. My thoughts today is that we would either remove this language and work on a procedure, or modify this language to say eminent domain may be necessary or something like that, so that we don't, um, uh, look, I'm trying to avoid this. We've had this before this council before. Individuals walk in here and say, the city's trying to take my property, and then we have a long discussion. I'd like to see a procedure in place on this so that we do not have that issue come before a council. That's my thoughts on this. City.
And if I may, Mayor, Vice Mayor, we are working on that. We have a process in place, but we will put it into writing to get to the mayor and council. We can proceed a couple different ways on Thursday on this issue. This is the same language we've used in at least the 7 years I've been here, and longer than that. However, very aware of Vice Mayor's concerns, and can assure him that we will be returning to the mayor and council in an appropriate forum before litigation is pursued.
Yeah, and that's my concern. By the time we get to litigation, sometimes we're surprised. So my point is this: I like to see us get there beforehand. We've had several executive sessions in the past where staff was saying X, we were at Y, and then they come to council and say, hey, what do you want to do? And we would either come up with another number or meet the number. The whole thing was upfront and not after the fact where actually litigation starting. And that's my concern right now. I don't want to get to that point where litigating, when this council should have the first shot at this and be able to discuss any potential eminent domain procedures. And again, that's my concern right now.
And if I may, Mayor, Vice Mayor Orlando, just a reminder though, a lot of times when we get to the point of looking at eminent domain, the project is already in process. There's often funding tied to it that is under time restrictions. Nonetheless, we can easily address the Vice Mayor's concerns, again, through an appropriate forum.
Okay, and I'm sure we could come up with the appropriate telephone calls if necessary. The mayor has been very gracious in calling these sessions. So, yeah. So, okay, so that's my concern right now. And I did bring this up before. It's not a question. I haven't brought this up in the past. I think I brought it from this dais at least 2 or 3 times. And maybe this time I'm a little more concerned because it keeps coming back and we haven't really addressed this. And part of it's my fault, I admit, but also this, like I said, I think we need to fix something, get something in place, being proactive versus waiting till a lawsuit. That's my point.
Yeah, my thoughts on that, I'm all for communication. I wouldn't want to take the perceived authority away from our staff in doing this. And if it seems like, well, our role is vision and policy is procedures, not negotiating on items like this. But if I certainly would agree, whatever communication is possible, I would support that. I just would not want to. I'm concerned about the timeliness sometimes, and as well as giving staff authority to do what we're asking them to do, and not letting our community think that, well, I don't got to listen to those guys. They can appeal to council anyways, but I would like, just for the timeliness of the staff to be able to do. But I certainly support communication and whatever you can come up with that would address that.
Yeah.
Mayor, I have a question.
Councilmember Ellis.
Based on what the vice mayor has stated concerning changing the language, it is my opinion that we definitely need to keep as needed in there. I would not want to see that go away because that will definitely make sure that we have the language that we need when the time comes. Because in any format that we once we say as needed, which is PRN, we realize that. Oh, sorry, I didn't turn my mic on. It is important for us to be able to access that when the time is right and it's needed at the time. If we remove that, I'm afraid that then that ties our hands in a position where we are either all or not. But when we put as needed, it opened the channel for us a little bit broader for us to be able to activate what we need to do in the process to move forward with any situation like this that we have to take care of. Thank you.
So you're going to work on this.
Yes.
And get back to this. And I don't know if there's opportunity for, before Thursday on that, but let's see what we can come up with and see if there's ways that can, you hear what council is saying, I think. We want to be expeditious. We don't want to slow down, but certainly we want to make sure that we're in the loop on these.
I guess, Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't want to belabor
Vice
this.
Mayor.
I'm sorry. It's not a question of would we do eminent domain. It's a question of this council having that authority, not staff. That's my concern. Before we go forward to that most egregious step in my mind of taking someone's property or not giving what they think it's worth the value, that's a council decision and should not be. And it's been done in the past where we've come to this council with eminent domain issues. We've discussed it behind appropriate venues and we've settled in almost every case. There are cities right now where eminent domain is a practice and staffs, it's been through staff. So I think it's our responsibility as this body, when we do the most egregious act, is tell somebody that their property's not worth this, or we can't work it out behind proper venues, and then we just turn around and start proceedings, and then boom, one day someone walks into the audience and says, your staff is started eminent domain activities against us, and we got 10 people in the audience telling us that we're bad guys and gals, and we didn't even know about it. So that's my concern right now. We need an upfront process that we could discuss this in the proper venue before we take that egregious step. And that's my concern.
Councilmember Harris.
Yeah, I have to agree, my colleagues,
Which one?
especially all of them. I agree with everyone, but number one, I don't like the eminent domain. I never liked it. That I've always kind of felt that invades and takes away from people's property rights. But there was even something that I thought that I wanted to point to specifically in the section where it says section 4, where it says where any such written offer is not accepted within a reasonable period of time for negotiation. That language within a reasonable period of time for negotiation concerns me because that is very vague. It's a very open ended conversation of what exactly is considered to be reasonable periods of time. Some people may think 20 years is reasonable. Some people may say 2 weeks is reasonable. That's very vague. And then also the fact that is so once it's turned over to, it says the Chandler City Attorney is authorized and directed to commence with condemnation or eminent domain proceedings to acquire it in the name of the city of Chandler. So that language right there concerns me too, although it will be something that I just kind of have like section 4. It really is really directed, pointed, and I have great concerns about the specifics of that. So perhaps if the city comes back with an eminent domain policy that we feel comfortable with, and then also within the policy that it has to be dealt with. Council has to come to an agreement on it. It's not done arbitrarily, unilaterally through staff. I think I would feel more comfortable with having a conversation, but I'm not. And based on what we're talking about here, this is just to help with easeways and lighting and things like that. But I have big problems about eminent domain just in general. That should be used as a last resort, and that has to be something that is so egregiously that the community even says is egregious. So, with that being said, I'll um, I'll land there, but just get back with us. And I just wanted to put my thoughts on the record. And I know you guys will work together to get this taken care of. Thanks.
Staff, see what you can do with this, and then if we don't come up with a something that we can vote on or pass on Thursday, we could certainly delay this. I realize I don't want to do that with timing on projects, but so I'm putting the onus on you, city manager and city attorney, but
Yeah.
we'll see where you can come up with and see where this lies on Thursday.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, the concerns are certainly heard, and we will certainly work before Thursday's meeting to come up with some language that hopefully will meet your needs. I do want to just real quick be on the record, I think for council's edification as well as the public, this is an exceedingly rare instance that we use eminent domain. I don't want anybody to leave here today thinking this is a tool that we use all the time. It is always the last of the last of the last options that we would ever use on a project, and that's every project I've ever been a part of with the city of Chandler. So I want to make sure that's clear that this is an extreme circumstance we're talking about. There's a natural disincentive to use it because it takes more time, it costs more money anyway. It's never something we like to do. So we will try to make a policy or codify what we already know to be the practice of the staff, and we'll bring that to you or find a way to word that before Thursday's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Our last item number 22, agreement for quiet zone improvements. Vice Mayor.
Yeah. City manager said that he's going to have something ready for us by Thursday about this issue, or is it possible we can table it? Because I have things I have to do, and I may not be able to get my full eyes on it within this short period of time between Monday and Thursday. Is there any way that we can look to table it or put it off a little bit? Because I think, we had the conversation. I think that is way too fast for us to make that adjustment that quickly. I don't know how other council members feel about that, but can I put a motion on the table to table that?
So what's the city manager? What's the timeline on this? It's I don't know where we're at with this whole project and everything else.
Yeah, Mr. Members of Council, I would need to check how critical it is for the timeline for this part of the project. The project is to begin construction approximately May 1st of next year. Obviously, we have to have a little bit of lead time to acquire I think there's 14 properties that are minimally affected. We're talking little strips or easements of land on this one, but I can get you some more information on that. I need to check how this affects the overall timeline of the project. If we're not able to come to a document that's very simple that would meet the needs of council before Thursday, we can let you know and we can pull it back if that's what needs to happen.
And how would you will be contacting us? Because some of us are gonna listen. I'm busy, council. I'm just trying. I'm busy between now and Thursday, and you guys are. I feel like I'm being forced into a situation where I have to respond very quickly, and I'm really busy this week. So I really would like to more time to wrap my arms around it, even if we have to come back and have a special study session or anything like that. I just kind of between now and Thursday, I got to make a vote. I think that's too much. That's not enough time for me to really wrap my arms around it.
Mayor. So let's, number two things. First, I'm council member, but let's see what you're talking at first. And if it looks complicated, again, we can delay, but again, let's just see where it goes. We might delay it, but if we can get there, let's see if we can get there. Councilmember Stewart.
Yeah, I just have two questions that kind of layer on top of one another. Thank you, Councilmember Harris. For this example, right, we're trying to kind of fix some utility issues and things like that. There's 14 different parcels of which we're going to pay the residents of those parcels to put things underground that they're never going to see anyway. We're going to take that over from them. So 13 say yes and 14 says no. An entire neighborhood could have bad pipes, bad electricity, and things like that because we're not able to get through this because of eminent domain. I think what Vice Mayor Orlando is saying is, okay, if we get to that place, we want to see it. We want to talk about it. Maybe even one of us, maybe the mayor goes over and knocks on the door and says, hey, listen, we're trying to help the neighborhood out. Like, those are the things that we do. But if this ordinance is just for this particular project, or is this a global ordinance that will cover everything? It's just for this?
Just this one.
Okay. Okay.
What is it? Just this
Yeah,
one, right?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Stewart, this item 10 on the agenda is just for this one project, but we can work on something broader than that, including this project for Thursday. Obviously, we'd then incorporate that language into future projects on the rare occasion we do.
So not to be too hasty here,
Right.
because I get it. There's a timeline because we've got to get these things done so that we can get this project done in front of this business owner's location that she's been asking for a long time to be done. So we don't want to delay this too much if we don't have to. And like you said, this isn't something that is going to probably even be a hiccup. It's just something that we have to have formal documentation for. But I understand Vice Mayor Orlando's point, right? We don't want to be just taking people's property without due process, but we don't want to hold this thing up. So man, if we can figure out some way to get this going, I think we can find a win-win for all of this and protect the residents that are there. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Moving on, item number 22, agreement for quiet zone improvements. Jeremy Abbott from Public Works and Utilities.
Actually, Mayor and Council will be Warren White from Public Works and Utilities, subbing for Jeremy. I apologize.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here to give a quick briefing on quiet zones. So just to start off, the definition of a quiet zone is basically what the Federal Railroad Administration considers as a quiet zone. Is basically a section of railroad track where automatic train horn sounds at crossings are not required, except in certain situations, emergencies, for maintenance or construction within 25 foot of the tracks. As you can imagine, in order to meet the quiet zone requirements, the Federal Railroad Administration has some fairly stringent requirements because of safety. At crossings, they must, in order to meet the designation, you have to have proper signage, advanced signage, pavement markings, and of course the gate arms have to be at the proper requirements. The project in front of you is to perform signage and pavement marking improvements necessary at the crossings along the Union Pacific Railroad crossings, basically from Elliott Road south to Germain. That's our railroad just east of the railroad tracks, and then also in West Chandler at Ray Road and Chandler Boulevard crossings just east of 56th Street. In the process of this effort, staff has worked closely with the Federal Railroad Administration to redesignate both our east and west quiet zones, setting up us in a better situation for the future to continue our quiet zone status. Council has approved a new capital improvement. In addition, I guess Council has previously approved last year a new capital improvement program that will provide funds to make continuous improvements at the railroad crossings to maintain these quiet zones, as well as funds to expand the quiet zones south of Germain all the way down to in the future to our southern border of Chandler. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Nice, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thank you for so you answered one of my questions. This is just for partial city And then what are your thoughts for for the final piece of the city on South Chandler? What are your thoughts on that time framing?
Sure. Mayor, thank you. Vice Mayor Orlando. As soon as we've completed this project, staff plans to move forward with looking at the continuing the quiet zone improvements south of Germain all the way down to Hunt Highway.
Perfect. And
including
then,
Applebee and other crossings.
excellent. So how long is this first project going to take?
This particular project, the improvements will be completed in the spring of this year. We're going to
Excellent.
begin construction probably as early as January, and then both the east and west quiet zones will be redesignated, and the train horn noise will stop again.
Excellent. Okay, and then, so we're looking about 4 months, 5 months by the time we approve the contracts. So hopefully South Chandler, we could have some of the similar timeframes, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And then we're done with the quiet zones.
Yes.
We think.
Well,
Until another one.
quiet zones will always be here. We'll have efforts every 2 to 3 years to ensure that they still meet the
Okay.
federal requirements. So,
But at least the initial groundwork will be done for the first phase. Perfect.
yes.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Councilmember Poston.
Thank you. So I've been talking to a resident about this who was in a quiet zone and then suddenly was out of the quiet zone. And I understand that maybe the parameters have changed a little bit. Are you comfortable with the fact that when we move forward with this, that it will be approved by the federal government and we won't have the bar moved on us anymore?
Mayor, Councilmember Poston, very good question. I think what we have learned through this process is what federal requirements is the rules do change. But with this new designation that we've established, it helps set the bar in such a way where we will be able to maintain that continuity. But again, we'll have to ensure we do that. Every 2 to 3 years, we'll have to look at every intersection to make sure the signage is properly in place, the markings are complete, along with working with the federal railroad administration.
Okay. I think she had a young baby, might be 2 by the time, and old enough and sleeping through the night. But thank you very much for your work on this. I know it's appreciated. It affects some of our residents more than I think we know. So thank you.
Yes, we have all heard the horn noise. So.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. You know, this is one of those things where kind of we have with the cell phone towers, right? Where the federal government is sort of preventing us from making our city a more livable place. Do you see any roadblocks or any headaches with getting this through in a timely fashion? And is there anything anybody sitting at this dais can do with our senators and Congress people to expedite this? Again, the railroad, I forget what the department's called, but it's an elected body making rules for our city that is really hindering your ability to do your job. What can we do up here?
Thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Stewart. That is a very good question. I think in this particular instance, we have the process in place moving forward to redesignate the crossings. There are instances, I think, where we still need to work better and with the entities outside. Sometimes they come in and they're within their right of way, and they can do work without maybe communicating with us in the best fashion. So maybe that's an area that we might talk about in the future.
Mayor? Oh, over here, sorry.
City Manager, then Councilmember Harris.
If I could just add to Mayor, Councilmember, if I could just add to Mr. White's comment, I want to commend this council for actually putting in the long-term capital program that he described earlier. That did not exist prior to this fiscal year. So we had a pre-established quiet zone, but then no funding to maintain it or continue reinvesting in the expansion or any other problems that could arise. So this was the first time. Again, thank you to council for supporting that, and several of you had asked for that. That's just enable us that every few years we can actually go back. Now we'll have kind of that checkpoint forever. We can go back and make sure we're reinvesting those quiet zones and not wind up in this situation again. So I think that's probably one of the most effective things you've been able to do, and I really appreciate that.
I'm being nostalgic tonight, so I have to bring up Rick Human with this one. He was the anti-rail noise guy. So, Councilmember Harris.
I just wanted to make sure I live right by railroad, and so I am every morning I hear that like it really rattles my house. It makes the neighbors upset. I'm glad that we actually have funding for that, but I just kind of want to make sure that it stretches because it stretches by my house. My house is right by a railroad, literally right by the railroad, and so getting that quiet zone. I've been telling Josh about this for how long? Like almost a year, over 2 year. Yeah, every morning the train comes by, it wakes me up, it makes me upset. It literally goes right. I literally hear that thing through my house. Okay. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I'm the council member because now I can let everyone know how I feel about railroads in Chandler. But if I'm going through the pain, everyone else is going through the pain. So thank you.
So Councilmember, I did my due diligence, and when I bought my house, I made sure there was not a railroad 100 yards from my house. So, all right, Council, anything else? All right, thank you. And that concludes our study session. Council, we'll see you on Thursday.